the rap game just got hit with another shockwave. Cardi B, the Grammy-winning superstar known for her unapologetic voice, has finally spoken up about Kendrick Lamar's recent statements, shaking the music industry. And what she said? It wasn't what anyone expected. Instead of playing it safe, Cardi admitted that Kendrick exposed truths most rappers are too afraid to even whisper. For years, fans believed Cardi's focus was only on hits, glamour, and staying at the top of the charts. But now, she's breaking her silence and directly addressing Kendrick's influence on the culture. With her raw honesty, Cardi is making it clear that hip-hop isn't just about flashy success anymore. It's about truth, fearlessness, and who's brave enough to call things out. Stay tuned, because what Cardi just revealed might change not only her own career, but the way the entire industry looks at Kendrick Lamar. Hip-hop thrives on boldness, and no two artists embody that more differently than Cardi B and Kendrick Lamar. Cardi, the Bronx-born rapper who fought her way from stripping clubs to Grammy stages, built her empire on raw personality, unfiltered honesty, and anthems that dominated clubs and charts. On the other hand, Kendrick Lamar, the Compton lyricist, is known for weaving politically charged messages, deep storytelling, and razor-sharp critiques of the culture into his verses for years. Fans never expected their paths to cross in a meaningful way beyond award shows or industry events. Cardi B often represents the mainstream pop rap success story, while Kendrick symbolizes the conscious, thought-provoking core of hip-hop. Yet in recent weeks, Kendrick made headlines after being praised by Rakim, the God MC, who declared that Kendrick was one of the only artists brave enough to tell the truth in a culture often drowned by clout chasing and silence. That moment sent shockwaves across the industry. Rappers, influencers, and fans began weighing in, some praising Kendrick's bravery, others accusing him of taking unnecessary risks. But one voice had been missing from the conversation, until now, when Cardi B finally spoke out. Her words stunned the culture. In a candid live stream, Cardi didn't dodge the subject. She didn't sugarcoat her response. Instead, she admitted that Kendrick did something most rappers, including herself, have avoided: pulling back the curtain on the hidden truths of the industry. Listen, Cardi began, her New York accent cutting through the noise. Everybody want to act like they know what's going on, but they stay quiet. Kendrick, he ain't scared. He's saying what nobody else dared to say, and I respect that. Immediately, social media exploded. Hashtags like #CARDISpeaks, #KendrickTruth, and #HipHopExposed began trending on Twitter X. Fans who expected Cardi to dismiss Kendrick or deflect were surprised to see her openly salute his courage. But what exactly was she referring to? Let's rewind a bit. In his latest interviews and performances, Kendrick has been blunt about the commercialization of hip-hop, the politics of record labels, and the pressure on artists to maintain silence on important issues. He suggested that too many rappers are comfortable with the machine, choosing not to speak up about exploitation, erasure, or industry manipulation. While some fans saw it as an indirect call-out, others saw it as a plea for hip-hop to return to its roots, truth-telling, and authenticity. Now, Cardi's response brings a whole new layer to the conversation. Because here's the truth. Cardi knows exactly what Kendrick is talking about. She has often admitted how the music industry tried to shape her image, silence her opinions, or control her trajectory. Behind the glitz, Cardi has faced the same systemic issues that Kendrick points to, but she rarely addressed them in such direct terms. By acknowledging Kendrick's bravery, Cardi is indirectly validating his claims. And that's huge. Why? Because Cardi isn't just another rapper. She's a global superstar with millions of fans. Mainstream influence, and a platform bigger than most artists in the game. When she speaks, people listen. One fan wrote on Instagram, "Cardi co-signing Kendrick is different. This ain't just a random rapper. This is someone who runs the charts and knows how the industry really works. If she says Kendrick exposed something, you better pay attention." Another tweeted, "Not Cardi, admitting Kendrick told the truth." This is the culture shift we didn't see coming, and they're right. Because for years, Cardi has been framed as someone focused on fun, fame, and financial success, not necessarily deep cultural critique. But her breaking silence now shows that even she recognizes the weight of Kendrick's message. Of course, not everyone agreed. Critics accused Cardi of riding Kendrick's wave or trying to insert herself into the conversation for attention. Some blogs even claim she was being strategically aligning herself with Kendrick, at a moment when authenticity is trending in hip-hop. But Cardi clapped back almost immediately, tweeting, "Y'all always think a B, asterisk, asterisk, H got motives. Nah, I said what I said. Respect the truth. Period." Asterisk, and that's the thing about Cardi, love her or hate her. She doesn't mince words. Her willingness to stand by Kendrick, even in the face of backlash, says more about the cultural climate than anything else. Because here's the reality. Pop industry thrives on silence. Many artists know the darker truths about contracts, manipulation, streaming politics, and systemic exploitation, but choose not to speak. Why? Fear. Fear of losing sponsorships, fear of being blackballed, fear of losing fans. What Kendrick did was strip away that fear. What Cardi just did was co-sign it. And together, that combination is rattling the foundations of hip-hop's silence machine. Social media continues to buzz with reactions. At Hot New Hip Hop posted Cardi B, "Giving props to Kendrick's bravery shows this convo is bigger than beef-its about truth in hip-hop." Meanwhile, at Complex shared clips from her livestream, sparking heated debates in the comments. Some fans called it the unity the culture needs, while others wondered if Cardi would go further and speak on the specifics. Kendrick hinted at dot. Either way, part one of this unfolding story makes one thing clear. Cardi B has broken her silence, and she's standing with Kendrick Lamar, not against him. And that move is already sending ripples through the game. When Cardi B's comments hit the internet, they did more than just trend. They forced the culture to pay attention. And that's because Cardi isn't someone who usually weighs in on deep industry debates. She's known for being outspoken on social media, yes, but typically about her personal life, her music, or clapping back at haters. Rarely does she insert herself into conversations about the truth in hip-hop, the kind Kendrick Lamar is known for bringing up. So for Cardi to break her silence in this way, it meant something bigger. It wasn't just about Kendrick. It was about acknowledging that the entire industry has a problem, and Cardi was ready to admit it. On her Instagram Live, Cardi went deeper than just giving Kendrick props. She said, "Y'all don't understand. A lot of people stay quiet because the industry got rules. There's things you don't say if you want to stay in good graces. Kendrick don't care about none of that. He gon' talk. And the fact he talking like that, it make everybody else nervous." That one statement alone had fans and critics dissecting every word, because Cardi was confirming what many already suspected. Silence in hip-hop isn't accidental, it's strategic. The fear factor behind the glitz. Luxury cars and red carpets. Artists are often walking a tightrope. They know speaking out against record labels, industry politics, or even certain cultural issues could cost them endorsements, media support, or even access to the biggest platforms. Cardi B has faced her own share of battles. Early in her career, critics doubted her longevity, saying she was just another reality star turned rapper. Yet she fought through the noise, dropped Bodak Yellow, and made history by becoming the first female rapper to win a Grammy for Best Rap Album in over 20 years. But even with that success, she's been open about the pressure. In interviews, Cardi has revealed how labels tried to push certain sounds, how executives doubted her ability to maintain authenticity, and how being outspoken often made her a target. Now, when she aligns herself with Kendrick's call for truth, it shows that even the most successful mainstream artists feel the weight of this silence machine. Fans react. A cultural shift. The internet was divided. Some fans celebrated the moment, seeing it as a potential cultural turning point. One viral tweet read, "Cardi B co-signing Kendrick might be bigger than people realize." She's got mainstream influence. If she says he's telling the truth, maybe others will finally speak. Others weren't as optimistic. Critics argued that Cardi was just talking without offering specifics. They wanted her to expose the same truths Kendrick was hinting at. On YouTube, commentators questioned, will Cardi actually name names? Or is this just lip service? Still, the fact that Cardi even addressed it is groundbreaking. In a culture where silence equals survival, breaking that silence even halfway can be revolutionary. Kendrick's impact on mainstream voices. What this really highlights is Kendrick Lamar's unique role in the industry. Unlike many rappers, Kendrick has always balanced commercial success with conscious messaging. His albums, from Good Kid, Mad City to Damn, to Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, dominate charts and win awards, but they also challenge listeners to think deeper about race, society, and the industry itself. When Kendrick speaks, even mainstream stars like Cardi can't ignore it. His ability to spark conversations that ripple beyond hip-hop's underground is unmatched. And Cardi's acknowledgement shows that his influence doesn't just resonate with fans, it forces fellow artists to reflect, too. In fact, some fans began drawing comparisons between Cardi and Kendrick. While they represent different ends of the hip-hop spectrum, Cardi as the commercial powerhouse, Kendrick as the conscious lyricist, they're both products of authenticity. Cardi never pretended to be something she wasn't, and Kendrick never compromised his artistic integrity. That shared trait might explain why Cardi respects him enough to co-sign his bravery. The media firestorm, unsurprisingly. Cardi's comments became instant media fodder. Outlets like at Billboard, at XXL, and at Hot New Hip Hop quickly picked up the story. Headlines read, Cardi B applauds Kendrick Lamar for speaking truths. Others won't, and Cardi breaks silence on Kendrick's bold industry remarks. Talk shows and podcasts weighed in. Some praised Cardi for validating Kendrick's statements, while others criticized her for not going further. On The Breakfast Club, Charlamagne Tha God argued, Cardi don't own nobody details. The fact she even said Kendrick's exposing truths. That's enough. That's her way of showing solidarity. Meanwhile, DJ Academic sparked controversy by dismissing her comments as clout chasing, saying, Cardi knows what she's doing, aligning with Kendrick when he's hot in the conversation at strategy. Not bravery that sparked its own backlash, with fans defending Cardi's right to speak her mind. Cardi's clapback off course. Cardi wasn't about to let the doubters have the last word. On Twitter X, she doubled down. Stop acting like I gotta explain every little thing. I ain't dumb. I know what's going on. And when I see somebody like Kendrick speaking up, I give props. Simple. She added a hashtag that quickly went viral. Hashtag respect the truth. Within hours, thousands of fans were using it to show solidarity, sharing clips of both Kendrick's speeches and Cardi's live stream. This clapback only amplified the story, making it clear that Cardi wasn't trying to play politics, she was standing firm in her opinion. Why this matters? The surface. Cardi giving props to Kendrick might seem like a small moment, but in reality, it's a big deal. Why? Because Cardi B represents mainstream rap in a way very few do. Her voice carries beyond hip-hop circles into pop culture, fashion, and even politics. Remember when she sat down with Bernie Sanders to talk about economic issues? That's the kind of platform Cardi has. So when someone like her validates Kendrick's truth-telling, it sends a message not just to fans, but to the industry itself. Silence is cracking. The walls are shaking. Even if Cardi doesn't go into specifics, her acknowledgement shows that Kendrick isn't alone. And in hip-hop, solidarity matters. Looking ahead, what happens next is the real question. Will Cardi continue to speak on this issue? Or was this a one-time acknowledgement? Will other mainstream stars like at Doja Cat, at Megan Thee Stallion, or even at Drake address Kendrick's statements too? The culture is watching closely, because moments like these often spark ripple effects. One artist breaks silence, another follows, and suddenly the entire narrative of the industry shifts. For now though, part 2 makes it clear. Cardi B's voice has amplified Kendrick Lamar's truth. And hip-hop will never look at this conversation the same way again. When Cardi B broke her silence and gave Kendrick Lamar his flowers, the culture didn't just clap, started asking deeper questions. If someone as mainstream and globally recognized as Cardi is acknowledging Kendrick's bravery, then what exactly has been happening behind the curtains of hip-hop that we don't see? Because, let's be real, Cardi didn't say this for no reason. She's lived the industry. She's fought through it. And when she says Kendrick exposed what no one else dared, she's confirming what fans and insiders have whispered for years. Hip-hop is full of truths that never make it to the surface. The industry's invisible chains. Think about it. Hip-hop has always been about rebellion, truth, and calling out power. From Public Enemy to Tupac, the greats risked it all to speak openly. But in today's corporate-driven era, silence is often bought, sold, and enforced. Kendrick Lamar refuses to play that game, and Cardi acknowledging him reveals just how rare that bravery really is. Artists today are under invisible chains. Labels controlling their creative direction. Contracts designed to keep them indebted. Streaming platforms manipulating charts and payouts. PR teams urging silence to avoid controversy. So, when Kendrick steps out and says the quiet parts out loud, it's more than just rape, it's resistance. Cardi's cosign made people realize that the chains are real. And she knows it too. Cardi's career as proof. Look at Cardi B's own journey. From the moment she blew up with Bodak Yellow, people doubted her. Critics said she was a one-hit wonder, that she couldn't rap, that she wasn't serious. But Cardi kept climbing. What people forget is how much pushback she got along the way. Cardi has often admitted that executives tried to tone her down, that she was pressured to fit molds that didn't reflect who she was. She fought to keep her authenticity intact, and that fight itself is proof of what Kendrick calls the machine. Her words about Kendrick hit harder because they come from someone who knows what it's like to be shaped, packaged, and doubted. Social media goes crazy after Cardi's live stream. Social media turned into a full-on debate zone. On Instagram, at World Star Hip Hop posted a clip of her saying Kendrick don't care about rules. The comments section exploded. Some fans wrote, Cardi knows exactly what's up. She just won't spill names. But her saying this confirms it all. If Cardi and Kendrick are on the same page, the industry is shaking. This is the collab we never knew we needed. Cardi's influence plus Kendrick's truth. Meanwhile, others were skeptical. Cardi praising Kendrick doesn't mean she'll actually do what he does. Until she starts exposing specifics, it's just talk. She's smart, Kendrick takes the risks. She gets the praise, but whether positive or negative, one thing was clear, people couldn't stop talking about it. Cardi B had entered a conversation many thought she'd avoid, and it made the story 10 times bigger. Kendrick's silence after Cardi's words. Interestingly, Kendrick himself didn't immediately respond to Cardi's comments. Fans scoured his socials, waiting for a tweet, a post, even a subtle acknowledgement, but nothing came. And that silence, it spoke volumes, because Kendrick doesn't do back and forth for clout. His whole career shows he lets the art speak for him. So instead of responding, fans started revisiting his lyrics, pulling out bars from To Pimp a Butterfly and DAMN that connect directly to the themes Cardi was validating. Lines about the industry killing the artist and truth buried under dollars resurfaced everywhere. TikTok creators began stitching Cardi's live stream with Kendrick's lyrics, proving how aligned their messages actually are. This sparked another wave of conversation. Is Cardi preparing the ground for something bigger with Kendrick? A collaboration? A joint statement? Or just mutual respect? The power of cosigns in hip-hop. To understand why this moment matters, you need to know the history of cosigns in hip-hop. When a major artist gives props to another, it's more than flattery, it's validation. Think about Jay-Z co-signing Kanye in the early 2000s, or Drake giving shine to emerging artists through features. Those moments shift narratives, change careers, and rewrite hierarchies. Now, Cardi giving props to Kendrick isn't about launching his career. He's already established as one of the greatest. It's about amplifying his message to audiences who might not usually engage with Kendrick's brand of conscious rap. Cardi's fanbase stretches beyond traditional hip-hop heads into pop culture, fashion, and global entertainment. So when she says Kendrick exposed truths, her fans, millions of them, pay attention in a way they might not have before. That's power. Critics call it calculated, of course. In hip-hop, no move goes unscrutinized. Some critics claimed Cardi's comments were calculated. They suggested she aligned with Kendrick to strengthen her own credibility, especially after facing criticism for delays in dropping her sophomore album on YouTube. One commentator said Cardi is smart. She knows being seen next to Kendrick's truth gives her depth. It makes people stop seeing her as just the chart girl and see her as a voice too. But whether calculated or not, doesn't erase the impact. Because perception is reality in hip-hop. And right now, the perception is that Cardi respects Kendrick's courage and, by extension, she's encouraging more transparency in the culture. Fans demand a collab. Once Cardi's comments went viral, fans immediately started dreaming a Cardi B x Kendrick Lamar collaboration. The hashtag #CARDI Kendrick began trending with memes, mock-up album covers, and fan-made tracks circulating online. One tweet went viral with over 100,000 likes. Cardi and Kendrick drop a track together? It won't just be music, it'll be history. Some argued their styles are too different. Others said that's exactly what would make it explosive. Imagine Cardi's raw, aggressive delivery paired with Kendrick's introspective storytelling. Whether it happens or not, the fact fans are even demanding it shows how her comments bridged worlds that once seemed separate. Cardi's legacy questioned. There's another layer here, though. By speaking on Kendrick, Cardi is indirectly shaping her own legacy. Fans and critics have always debated whether she should be considered one of the greats or just a mainstream phenomenon. Now, by aligning herself with a conversation about truth and bravery, she's positioning herself as more than just a chart topper. She's signaling that she sees herself as part of hip-hop's larger cultural mission, not just the glamour side, whether people accept that or not. History will remember this moment as one where Cardi chose to speak when she could have stayed silent. The bigger picture at its core, this isn't just about Cardi or Kendrick, it's about hip-hop itself. When two artists from completely different ends of the spectrum connect over truth, it forces the culture to confront itself. Are rappers ready to speak openly about the industry? Are fans ready to hear uncomfortable truths? Is hip-hop ready to return to its roots of rebellion and honesty, even if it risks profit? Cardi breaking silence might not give us all the answers, but it sets the stage for something bigger. Something no PR team, no label, and no industry executive can fully control. Part 3 makes it clear. Cardi B stepping into Kendrick's truth-telling lane is more than an A. Co-signates a cultural moment that could change how hip-hop operates in the years to come. By the time Cardi B's comments about Kendrick Lamar spread across the internet, the conversation had already moved beyond simple reactions. Fans, critics, and even other rappers were starting to weigh in, proving that this wasn't just a viral moment, it was a cultural turning point. And in part 4, we dive into why Cardi's words carry so much weight, how the industry is responding, and what this means for the future of hip-hop. A rare bridge between worlds. Hip-hop often divides itself into categories: mainstream versus underground, commercial versus conscious, radio hits versus lyrical depth. Cardi B and Kendrick Lamar represent two of those opposite ends. Cardi is the face of mainstream rap success, dominating Billboard charts, collaborating with pop stars, and embodying the flashiest aspects of celebrity culture. Kendrick, meanwhile, is hailed as hip-hop's prophet, someone who speaks truth to power, weaving social commentary into poetry that wins Pulitzers instead of just plaques. So when Cardi breaks silence to validate Kendrick's bravery, she's doing more than just giving props. She's building a bridge between two worlds that rarely stand on the same side. And that's why fans can't stop talking. Because if someone like Cardi B has every reason to stay safe in her mainstream. Bubba aligns herself with Kendrick's disruptive message. It means truth is no longer just for the underground. It's becoming mainstream. The ripple effect almost immediately after Cardi's livestream, other artists began reacting. Some subtly liked her posts. Others dropped cryptic tweets. A few even mentioned her by name. A rising rapper from Atlanta tweeted, "When Cardi says it, you know it's real. Industry been keeping it hush. Oh, but she ain't wrong." Another artist wrote, "Respect to Cardi for not playing the safe game. Too many of us scared to lose a bag." Even bloggers began to speculate. Could this trigger a wave of artists speaking out, just like Cardi hinted Kendrick had done? Could this be the start of a larger movement inside hip-hop? Whether that happens or not, one thing was certain. Cardi's voice had made the conversation unavoidable. The backlash, but with every bold move comes backlash. Cardi's critics came in strong, accusing her of hypocrisy. They argued that Cardi has benefited from the very system Kendrick criticizes. Some pointed to her luxury endorsements, her commercial collaborations, and her willingness to play the fame game. One YouTube commentator said, "How can Cardi praise Kendrick for exposing the industry when she's been thriving in that same industry without challenging it?" Another Instagram post went viral with the caption, "Cardi can't have it both ways, celebrating the machine while clapping for the man who's tearing it down." But Cardi, being Cardi, wasn't silent. She clapped back on Twitter, "Y'all sound dumb. Just 'cause I benefit don't mean I don't see the problems. Don't confuse being successful with being blind." The tweet racked up millions of views, sparking another trending hashtag. Hashtag CARDI sees the truth, CARDI and Kendrick. Allies or opposites? One of the most fascinating aspects of this moment is how fans started viewing Cardi and Kendrick's relationship. Are they allies now? Are they on the same team? Or are they simply two artists acknowledging each other from a distance? Some argued this was the beginning of an unlikely alliance, comparing it to when mainstream pop stars embraced conscious artists during political movements. Others saw it as temporary Cardi praising Kendrick without necessarily walking his path. But regardless of how deep the connection runs, the fact they are mentioned in the same breath proves just how seismic the moment is. The media narrative major. Outlets couldn't resist. Headlines began framing Cardi as joining Kendrick's call for truth. Commentaries described her as brave for stepping out of her lane, some even positioned her as a possible bridge for Kendrick's message to reach wider audiences. On TikTok, content creators created mashups of Cardi's livestream with Kendrick's iconic verses, captioning them with hashtags like #TruthAndHipHop and #CARDI Kendrick Alliance. These clips amassed millions of views within days. Even traditional news platforms picked it up, asking whether this moment signaled a cultural awakening in mainstream rap. Cardi B's words were no longer just entertainment, they were being treated as social commentary, hip-hop's eternal debate. Its heart. This moment reopens an eternal debate. Should rap focus on truth or on entertainment? For decades, this question has divided fans. Some believe hip-hop should always remain tied to its roots, truth-telling, resistance, rebellion. Others argue that the genre has expanded, and there's room for both conscious rap and party anthems. Kendrick Lamar has always stood firmly in the truth camp. Cardi B, until now, has embodied the entertainment side, but her comments blur the lines. They suggest that even the entertainers see the need for truth, and even the truth-tellers need the spotlight of entertainers to amplify their message. This duality may be exactly what hip-hop needs right now. The global reaction. Another fascinating element is how international fans reacted. From Nigeria to the UK, from Brazil to the Philippines, clips of Cardi's livestream went viral. Global fans praised her courage for acknowledging Kendrick's stance, with some saying this could inspire artists in their own countries to break silence. One fan from London tweeted, "Cardi saying Kendrick's speaking truth hits different. Over here, our rappers face the same industry politics. Maybe it's time we stop being silent too. Another from Lagos wrote, "Hip-hop is global now. Cardi and Kendrick showing truth matters everywhere, not just in America. This global resonance proves that the moment is bigger than two artists' sits. A message that transcends borders. The future. What comes next? So where do Cardi and Kendrick go from here? Some predict a collaboration is inevitable. Others think they'll continue their separate lanes, with Cardi occasionally speaking up and Kendrick continuing his mission of exposing truths. But one thing everyone agrees on, the industry can't ignore this. Whether it's labels, executives, or fellow artists, Cardi's words have put the spotlight back on Kendrick's critique. Now, everyone has to decide whether they'll stay silent or join the conversation. This moment could be the start of a new era in hip-hop, where mainstream and conscious rap aren't opposites but allies. Or it could fizzle out with Cardi moving on and Kendrick standing alone once again. But right now, the energy feels different. Fans are calling it a shift, a reset, even the beginning of something revolutionary. Conclusion Part 4 makes one thing clear. Cardi B's decision to break her silence about Kendrick Lamar wasn't just a passing comment. It was a spark that lit conversations across fans, media, and even fellow artists. By validating Kendrick's truth-telling, Cardi proved that even those who benefit from the machine can see its flaws. And in doing so, she gave fans hope that silence in hip-hop might finally be breaking. Whether this turns into an alliance, a collaboration, or simply mutual respect, history will remember this as the moment Cardi B said, "Kendrick exposed what no one else dared, and nothing in hip-hop will ever be the same again." So now the question becomes, where do you stand in this moment? Do you believe Cardi B's words prove that even the biggest stars in the mainstream can't ignore the truth? Kendrick Lamar is speaking, or do you think she's just making noise without really walking the same path? One thing's for sure, this is bigger than just two artists. This is about the direction of hip-hop itself. Because when Cardi says Kendrick exposed what no one else dared, it's not just talking about one man. She's talking about a culture, an industry, and a system that has thrived on silence. And silence is finally breaking. We want to hear from you. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Do you see Cardi and Kendrick as allies, opposites, or something in between? And if you want more deep dives into the stories that the industry doesn't want you to hear, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Tap the notification bell and share this video with a friend. Trust me, this conversation is just getting started. #HipHopTruth, #CARDIB, #Kendrick Lamar at @IamCardDib, @Kendrick Lamar, CardDib, @Kendrick Lamar.